All right, we're going to move, Mr. Smallwood. This will be your last personal question. We're going into audit stuff, but I'm going to ask things a little bit differently. Like everybody at this point knows about unreconciled accounts, non-compliance, all these things. Trussville residents and critics have questioned whether this record would affect your oversight ability as mayor of Trussville. What specific reforms would you implement to ensure no such oversight failures happen again in Trussville's budget process? And should Trussville residents trust your judgment as mayor given those findings?
I'm going to push back on the narrative that was propagated by an individual. He's certainly entitled to his opinion, but he is not entitled to the facts. And the facts are these. The facts are these, which are we've held a 99% collection rate over the past 20-something years. It may have dipped down to 98% one year during the decline. And we also have balanced every year to the penny with the state comptroller. So you factor in our collection rates, you factor in our balancing every year, you factor in that we were in the positives. And I have an insurance policy which is called my bond, and there was never a paid claim on my bond in 23 years. And to understand the reconcilable issues that they are minute, you have to factor those over 6 million transactions. We do 250,000 accounts a year times 23 years. I think that comes to over 6 million transactions. So our error rate is incredibly minute, but that wasn't factored into the coverage. And I think that was the attempt to punch holes in my legal or accounting acumen, which has been upheld by the Attorney General's opinion, Alabama Supreme Court, and many 10th Judicial Circuit renderings and verdicts. So I think we have a stellar record overall. I get 2 hires in my office. The other hires are hired by the personnel board. So let's think about that. And also, we transitioned from a manual register to a electronic system where it was held online, and some of those transactions were rounding errors by the software, and some may have been 2 cents off or 3 cents off or 4 cents, but the way that the article was written was not contextually balanced. It left out really crucial things. There was never a penny lost. There was a 99% collection rate. So again, he's entitled to his opinions, but not facts. The facts stand complete, and we have an excellent office, even though we've had hiring deficiencies in times past, not being able to hire the sufficient staff, and going through reduction in force, going through a DEI thing through the county, which they would hire people and send them to us. We could not look at their resume. They didn't do backgrounds on people, handling money. That was a horrific time. But in spite of all those, we prevailed, and we've never had an issue with any city, county, state offices not receiving their money. They all received their money. This whole thing was taken out of context, and that's the reason there were no credible news. I've dealt with the New York Times, I've dealt with the Washington Post, AP, stories for years and years. There's a reason no one published this, because it was 2-cent rounding errors, 3-cent rounding errors by a computer program. But he left all that out of the narrative, which is completely false, and it is affront to our employees who do a good job day after day after day. He's laying his hat upon what the examiner said. The examiner, it was his first time to audit on the new software. He was asking us questions. So let's think about those things. But unfortunately, he didn't lay it out that way. He laid it out to attempt to push back on my insistence upon for a forensic audit. I call for a forensic audit of this city, and there's pushback from that. I just don't understand why. I think we need that.
Let me ask this,
yes,
because I'll admit it here. I did not dive into the audit stuff because just to be honest with you, didn't want to. I was going to ask you about it, let you say what you wanted to say about it. It's all well documented.
Sure.
All that stuff's been out there all over the place.
Right.
My follow-up question to it, I guess, would be, given what's out there, whether it's contextualized correctly or not, do you understand Trussville voters' trepidation for maybe voting for you or not? Like, should they worry about giving those findings at all?
Think about this. You have 6 million transactions, 6 million over 23 years, which is stellar. It's a 99% collection rate is equivalent of a football coach's 11 wins a season. Think about this. And he left all that out creatively. So
I didn't read it.
So very few people did, and our poll numbers are still stellar. So I think he's attempting to put to put a hole in our acumen. Which think about this: the Supreme Court has upheld me 8-0. There was no contentious spirit down there. The Attorney General's opinion has coincided with our interpretations of accounting and legal positions over and over again, coincided completely. And the 10th Circuit has used me as an expert witness through the years. On and on. We've uncovered the Health South fraud, which is one of the 8 biggest financial crimes in the history of the world. And think about that. Think about the attorneys for Health South.
I was too young. Who uncovered that? Wasn't it whistleblowers or something?
There was 2 dimensions of it.
I covered something one time that was Mr. Bean.
Aaron Bean.
Watson Smith.
He had a book come out, and I covered an event
Aaron Bean
that he did.
Well, if you were to read, and I'll bring it to light, there's 2 dimensions of the fraud, too. And one was when the cooking of the books, and one was the overstatement of assets, which we helped discover. And it's written in the if you were to Google Health South versus JT Smallwood, you'll see a case that originated in Jefferson County in our office that went all the way to the Supreme Court.
So your involvement came after the whistleblower, though, right?
There was 2 dimensions.
I know, but obviously it was uncovered by the whistleblower, and that's when y'all got involved, right? I'm just trying to
Okay, there's 2.
Okay.
The overstatement of assets was separate than the overstatement of earnings that were to come out. There's 2. No one knew this was going to happen. There were no, and I uncovered it through a refund statute that came across my desk. The numbers in my head did not reconcile properly. They were asking for refunds where they paid taxes ad valorem on fictitious assets that didn't exist. So, like I said, the equations didn't match up. So we started a further investigation. Then we took our findings and asked the Attorney General to give an analysis, give an opinion on our findings. Was it mistakes or omissions in the reporting, or was it fraudulence? And they coincided with our interpretation.
I'm following all of that.
Right.
Was this before or after the FBI investigation, or during? That's what I'm asking.
During.
Okay, gotcha. That's what I was curious.
We dealt. That was a long trial. It went on for a while, but I went on the speaking tour, taking no money for that, and we talked to accountants about things like that of that nature. I did that for a little while, and I was asked by Health South not to do it anymore because when I spoke on it, it didn't help confidence in their system because they had a whole new crew, which I kind of backed away, except for educational purposes. But Aaron Beam, I met him, and he was an interesting fella. Of course, he was one of the architects of the deal, and he's on the speaking tour as well right now. He's written a book on it.
Okay.